we had to double check that we were on live, but we are on live and we're here. We have a great show today. We have Dege Coutee coming back with the Compassion Flower Report. We're Shiloh Jinglefoot with G-licious Dishes. And we have two special guests today. We have Kevin Korn from Hardcorn Entertainment. He's going to be here today later on in the hour. And we also have James Hamilton from Oregon Shout. But right now, we're going to go right to the beginning.
Imagine a town where there are no small joints, just small stoners, where Kush is a girl's best friend, and law-breaking is the new liberty. It's the Hollywood Hemptress Hour, hosted by your honey blonde Hemptress, Terry Joyce. Yeah!
Hello! So, in the paper, in the Oregon opinion section, and let's remember that this is an opinion, it's not fact. There's a woman named Susie Tracy who writes her opinion about Measure M. Measure 80. Measure 80 demands investigation and attention is what the headlines are. Measure 80 is the Cannabis Tax Initiative, which is on the ballot this year in the state of Oregon. Oregon is actually going to, on the ballot, possibly legalize marijuana recreationally in the state of Oregon. And by the way, Oregon was the first state to decriminalize marijuana in 1973, so maybe they'll be the first state to actually make it legal so that you can use it recreationally. Now, the woman, you know, I'm just going to read a little bit of what she says here. Well, I'm going to read probably like a little bit more than just a little bit. But she says, the discourse of this particular measure is filled with some fact, some fiction, some emotion at times, and a lot of prejudiced self-interest. I don't often beg, but I'm begging you to read the measure and use the brain that has been giving you, hopefully, the one that is free from the influence of cannabis, to reach a reasonable conclusion to how you should vote come this next November. I don't know about you, but that little paragraph just kind of like leaves a bad taste in my mouth. You know, I mean, it's like, how many times can we be insulted about how we can't make good judgment if we happen to use cannabis for whatever reason that we choose to, whether it be recreationally or for our anything that happens to ail us. Then she goes on to say, the measure is long, not as long as the health care bill. However, rambling at times, it seems to conflict with its own precepts. The petitioner of the measure is Paul Stanford, who owns a chain of medical marijuana clinics, and he expresses some interesting perspective on arguing for the legalization of this mind-altering substance. Within the body of the measure, he cites information claiming that George Washington grew marijuana for over 30 years, that Thomas Jefferson was an ardent supporter, that another governor from the 1700s found marijuana preferable over to tobacco, and then quotes one carefully selected but obviously misunderstood verse from the Bible as God's support of his position. Mr. Stanford serves up a recipe for change that has an interesting but unconvincing mixture of selective history, agriculture, science, propaganda, discrimination, education, legislative controls, religious interpretation, and self-serving control systems. I don't know about you, but actually it's the self-serving control systems that actually made cannabis illegal in the first place. Because if you go back to who was actually behind it, it's the people who are behind the monopolies that run our oil, our paper, and other things going on in this country, like the Rockefellers, the DuPont, and the J.P. Morgans, who also, by the way, happens to own Chase Manhattan. Now, let's break this down. I actually looked it up. I looked at the measure, and by the way, when I looked it up, I wasn't high, and I'm not high right now. So I feel that I'm in pretty rational mind, and probably a lot of you out there, you know, maybe you're high right now. Good for you. I'll be doing that later. I'll be smoking my own herb, but you know, if you're not, you know, I'm sure this is easy to understand. Here's the Oregon Tax Cannabis Initiative. It says, A, whereas the people of the state of Oregon find that cannabis hemp is an environmentally beneficial crop that yields several times more fiber for paper and textiles than any other plant. All right, that's a fact. That is a fact. You know, the woman who writes this article makes it sound like this is just kind of like hearsay, that we just kind of make this stuff up, that, you know, the people who smoke weed just happen to say, hey, you know what, you can grow hemp, you can like have food, you can have clothing, you know what, we can even run our cars on it. But again, we're smoking the wacky tobacco. Now also she says, yields cloth and paper of superior strength and durability without the application of pesticides during cultivation, without producing cancer-causing pollutants during processing. That's a fact. Yields more seed oil and protein for progenious and ecological biodiesel fuel, plastics, and nutritious food than any other plant. That's a fact. Yields more biomass than any other plant outside the tropics, though it grows well in the tropics too, and grows faster than any other plant on Earth in the temperate and cooler climates. That's a fact. Yields a substance that relieves the suffering of many ill people without life-threatening side effects. And whereas the people find that federal and corporate misinformation campaigns that economically benefit small groups of people have suppressed the information above, and the fact that George Washington grew cannabis for more than 30 years, and while he was a president said that artificial preparation of hemp is really a curiosity, and told his Secretary of the Treasury, Alexander Hamilton, that he was suggesting the policy of encouraging the growth of hemp. Thomas Jefferson invented a device to process cannabis, and cannabis fiber was used for most clothing and paper production until the invention of the cotton gin. Governor Morris of Pennsylvania, who spoke at the U.S. Constitutional Convention in 1787 more than any other delegate, and of whom James Madison said, the style and the finish of the Constitution properly belongs to the pen of Governor Morris, wrote a paper he sent to Thomas Jefferson called Notes Respecting Tobacco, that compared cannabis and tobacco and concluded that cannabis is to be preferred. And whereas the people find that cannabis is Oregon's largest cash crop, indicating that cannabis prohibition has failed. Whereas the people find that despite misinformation concocted to justify cannabis prohibition, the courts of Alaska, Hawaii, and Michigan have noted Presidential Commission findings, scientific studies, and learned treaties, which, and it goes on. It goes on. It talks about how cannabis has never killed anybody. It talks about how we demonstrate that moderate cannabis use causes very little impairment of psychomotor functions, reveal no significant physical, biochemical, or mental abnormalities attributable solely to cannabis use, and that long-term heavy cannabis users do not deviate specifically from their social peers in terms of mental function. So here's basically like what is happening in terms of the history of cannabis and how it's happened in the United States and how it's been was originally a part of our country until it was like later on made illegal in 1937. So as this woman writes, she continues to talk about how it dwindles down, like Mr. Sanford serves up a recipe for change that has an interesting but unconvincing mixture of selective history, agriculture, science, propaganda. Okay, I read this part already. I challenge you to read the measure and then visit the following websites. And she gives drug abuse, Governor NIDA, National Institute on Drug Abuse. In the body of the measure 80, Mr. Stanford states that the people in the state of Oregon find that cannabis hemp is an environmentally beneficial crop. And the people find that federal and corporate misinformation campaigns economically benefit small groups of people who have suppressed information. And in Section 1, this act is a scientific experiment by the people of Oregon. And then she says, really now, we're all scientists. When you read the bill, it doesn't say that Oregon is like, doing a scientific experiment on cannabis. It's asking that we actually have thorough investigations and experiments on how to use the plant properly to treat different ailments. And it does not say that, we're all just experimenting with cannabis. There's already been tons of studies out there, and they've been published, and they're accurate on what cannabis can do. It reduces tumors in your lungs, and it's just, so I just find this, I don't know, I find this really annoying. And then it goes on, she talks about how, and what about the children? Okay, what about the children? What about the children? I think that is the for me personally, and you could say that this is my opinion, but if you really care about the children, then let's tax it and regulate it and make it so it is legal for those adults who want to use it responsibly, and have our government regulate. That's how we keep it out of the hands of the children. You educate your children. You tell your children that this plant is something that needs to be honored and used correctly. And again, you know, I do not advocate that children use it. I do not, unless your child has a disease that it would be beneficial for them to get well from. Then it would be like just any other medicine that you'd be administering to your child. So in the end, this woman says, and this is the part that I love the most. She says, "Please accept our invitation to attend our monthly DFY Drug-Free Estacada Families and Youth Coalition meetings held each month on the third Tuesday from 1:30 to 3 p.m. at the Estacada Library in the Flora Room." Now, she says, as one of the 4,000 such organizations across the country, our organization is funded by a federal grant out of the White House for the purposes of reducing substance abuse among youth ages 11 to 18. Now, I wonder, the White House, could it possibly be funded by some of the money that Eric Holder might have made in the Fast and Furious trade where he sold arms to the Mexican drug lords? Well, anyways, that's my opinion. That's my, and thank you for listening to it. So if you want to check it out, you know, you can go online, look at the Estacada News. There's a lot of different people who are, for some reason, the papers are publishing things like this, which I consider to be misinformation. You know, what is in Measure 80 is facts. If you want to check out the facts of what hemp really is all about, I suggest that you read the book The Emperor Wears No Clothes by Jack Hare. There's also tons of information online, and personally, I am sick and tired of hearing people just doing the whole, oh, it's a gateway drug, oh, it has no medicinal value, and oh, listen to those wacky people who smoke weed that talk about how George Washington grew it and how the Constitution was written on hemp paper, which actually is, in fact, true. We'll be right back with the Dege Coutee and for the Compassion Flower Report. I love weed. And thank you. Yeah, I'm definitely like, I'm actually a marijuana activist, and I can tell you like how that kind of like came about for me in a sort of different way. At first, I could kind of take it or leave it when I was growing up. I mean, I wasn't like a stoner chick in high school or anything like that. But what I do like about marijuana is that it changes your perspective on reality, right? And these aren't easy times, so sometimes I feel like I need it. Like I'm like, fuck it, it can't pay rent. Universe will give it to me, right? You know, and I started to think about it, like no one's ever died from smoking marijuana, ever. In the history of mankind, nobody's ever died from smoking marijuana. I always want to know why. Why is that at least? That makes me want to just go out and smoke it just blatantly. It's illegal? I'm not dying from it. More and more. Oh, I'm still alive. I'm still alive. Ha 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 ha, you know? I'm still here. Only now I see the bullshit that exists in the world, and you don't like that, you know? Right? I mean, that's like what it's really all about, you know?
Hello, we're back. And we have Dege Coutee. She is the president of the Patient Advocacy Network down in Los Angeles. It's a 501c3 that protects patients' rights. And she is here online giving the Compassion Flower Report. How are you today, Dege?
I'm really, really good. As usual, of course, there's a lot going on. Exciting time here in LA. And yeah, I'm doing well. The the city attorney's letters have arrived on the doorsteps of, from what I understand, about 1,000 dispensaries and their landlords. And so it's you know, we now know what the enforcement is going to be, and it's a threat of either close or get fined or potentially look at jail. So the enforcement's coming initially from the city attorney's office, and I'm busy doing my thing. I'm communicating with a lot of the people I work with and so forth, and it's really funny that, of course, with respect to the media, everyone's acting like, oh, this is it, this is how it's going down. And then when I talk to my people, Terry, they're like, yeah, we got the letter, we just faxed it over to our lawyer.
So are they scared? Are they just kind of calm about it? I mean, like, what is the overall feeling there with these letters?
Everyone I'm working with is just like, they're open, it's business as usual, and they faxed the letter over to their lawyer. And yeah, because of the recent victory that we had in Long Beach, which is a small one. I mean, it's not like it's very important, but it's not definitive. That there's a temporary restraining order against the city of Long Beach from enforcing their ban. And so, I think now that most people know that, now everybody just knows that they need to get a lawyer and file motions. Yeah, now that we know, I mean, that was the big thing, is we needed to know what type of enforcement the city was going to actually try to administer on this, so that people knew exactly what kinds of relief to ask for. And so, yeah, they're threatening the landlord. They're threatening the business with, like a fine, like a daily fine. I think it's like $2,500.
Wow.
And they sent a letter to the landlord, things like that. So it's good. I mean, to me, it's kind of a relief almost, because now that we know, now we can see, now attorneys know exactly what kind of protection to ask for their clients.
Well, I was looking at the, because I get your emails, and today I took a glance at, what the letter was, or what they were banning. And now, are they also, I mean, are we getting the hard ban or the soft ban? Because it looked like they were saying, and you can't transport, and you have.
No, you have to understand there is no hard ban.
Okay.
It's the soft ban, or the gentle ban, and the limited immunity ban. Okay, the gentle ban is Huizar's all-out ban.
Okay.
Just like I said, just like I reported in my last report, no dispensaries, patients of 3 or less can grow, period. That's the gentle ban.
Oh, geez. That doesn't feel very gentle to me.
Well, that's what I said to them at City Hall. I said, it's like you're giving us a choice between getting ass raped or being gently ass raped, and we don't like either. Okay.
Okay. You need some hemp lube for that.
We absolutely. And they don't have hemp lube at City Hall, and it really fucking hurts. So yeah, that's what's going on. So it's kind of a relief. And like you said, are people scared? I don't know. I mean, I have yet to speak with anybody who's fearful, but everyone that at least everyone I try to speak with and try to work with in this movement is trying to do everything they can to be as in line and compliant with state law. And they've already jumped through so many of the city's hoops that they legally could, that these, like I said, they don't feel like they need to back down. They're prepared to roll their sleeves up and fight. And this is the fight I think we've finally needed in the city of Los Angeles, is to, challenge the ban, but it's also going to bring up the city's entire process with this as well. For our listeners, I recently published something on Pan's blog. It's called Los Angeles, a Brief Medical Marijuana History of Failure. And I go through quickly, but in enough detail to have everyone understand exactly what happened in the city of Los Angeles from like 2006 until where we are today, which is those letters have hit the doorstep. and they're telling everybody by September 6th, it's do or die. And it's great. I mean, to me, like I said, it's great. It gives everybody enough time to go file their motions in court. And I think September 6th is going to come and go, and we're just going to be, it's just going to be like this all over again.
So what about West Hollywood? Is that not part of that jurisdiction?
West Hollywood is its own city.
It's its own city. You broke up a little bit there. Can you say that one more time?
Hollywood is its own.
Well, I guess the Skype gods are not allowing me to say that. West Hollywood is its own city. I know that's what you're trying to say, right? Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. I had a weird little McAfee or whatever thing started to want to do a little test on. I think it caused something, a disconnection weirdness there on the computer. So West Hollywood's going to still be active. Long Beach will still be active. We will still be active. I mean, do you foresee?
Well, Long Beach has the same ordinance as LA. So, and theirs got passed first. So what's getting ready to happen in LA has already started in Long Beach.
Okay, so we're going to copy them, and most likely we'll be protected like they were in Long Beach, and so it's just going to be just more standstill, more court costs. Do you think we're going to have more raids happening for a few of the people out there?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that the LAPD is, and has been investigating collectives that maybe really truly are running business in the less than favorable way for, the spirit of state law possibly. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that we may see a couple big dispensary hits, maybe mostly to scare everybody.
Uh-huh.
But, they may not necessarily be completely because of them receiving the letter. It may be because of, of a criminal investigation that's been going on for the last 6 months. But, of course, the media will report it as, oh, this is it. This is how they're going to do it. And it'll shake up their neighbors. But yeah, I do expect that we'll still see. I mean, we've been seeing raids in the valley sporadically for the last 4 or 5 months. So the LAPD has been taking action, on some collectives. And again, they're not people that or groups that I've ever worked with, so I can't really speak to why. They've been having law enforcement encounters.
So, we need to wrap it up here in a moment, but is there anything else that you want to share with the listeners? Any important details that you want to make sure that you get out there today?
Well, just to remind people that if they're really curious as to what this whole legal process has been with the City of Los Angeles and the moratorium, and then the first ordinance that went to court, and the amended ordinance, and now 2 bans that got passed at the same time, and one's going to get enforced over the other. And I explain that to people so they can kind of, because the media doesn't always, our regular mainstream media, they cover so many different topics that they don't always get the details right when they report on things with regard to medical marijuana. Because I had a lot of people call me, and they thought that Paul Koretz's motion was the one that was going in. It was the one that was going to ban everybody except 100. So yeah, if people want to learn more, they can go to CannabisSavesLives.org. They can click over to our blog and check that out, subscribe to our blog. It'll end up in your inbox. They can subscribe to emails and get stuff that's going on in the state of California and beyond. And I would love for people to please make a donation. A lot of our sponsors are being hit with a lot of legal costs right now. It's the cost of the drug war. So if there's any of our listeners out there who can, help us keep up the fight we would so greatly appreciate it.
Yes, and do make sure that you give Dege a donation. I don't know anybody who is as honest or as forthright and as smart as she is. So.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. You know, it's that compliment I've been getting for like the last 2 months. People have been calling me the smartest person in medical marijuana. I'm like, well, thank you. I'm glad that people only, after all these years, see how I've painted the picture of exactly what's going on and tried to shed light on this issue. And yeah, I'm actually on my way to LA's first candidate forum in East Los Angeles. We've got an election coming up here in LA, and I'm going to go see what that's all about and talk with some community leaders and some community neighbors about how we fix this problem.
Well, you know what? Great. We'd love to hear a follow-up on that on the next show.
Absolutely. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. That was...
And up next, we're going to have Kevin Korn here in the studio with Hardcorn Entertainment. We got a big show coming up September 1st here down in Portland, Oregon. So stay tuned. Kevin!
I live in West Hollywood, which, I used to live in West Hollywood. Actually, I kind of relocated up here, which is a sanctuary city, which is really cool. You can actually smoke marijuana on the street there. Yeah, you can, legally. And you can actually, so I thought it'd be really cool, because I'm not really gay, but I support gay rights. I'm sorry, maybe you're probably going to judge me because I think everybody needs to be free to love anybody that they want. And so I want to just for the hell of it, just stand in front of like a gay club on Santa Monica Boulevard in front of a cop and go, I'm gay and I'm smoking pot. Free at last, free at last. So I think that would be fun. And being that, you know, I lived there, I saw a hydroponic store, and I was actually growing my first plants. And I walked into the store and I was all excited. I'm like, hey, I'm growing my first marijuana plants. And they looked at me all sour-faced and they go, we only grow basil and cherry tomatoes here. Like, I felt like I brought the lube and the dildos to the wrong party. You know, I was like, oh, let me turn this off.
We're back.
What do you feel like fooling?
We're back with Kevin Korn from Hardcorn Entertainment. He's one of the young comedians, I guess like the young generation that's happening out here in the Portland area, producing shows. And I'd like to welcome to the show, Kevin.
Hey, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Great, great. So now you started off doing stand-up?
Yes, yeah, I started back in college. I just happened to be, my dorm room was actually just right across the street from the Tempe Improv, so it just kind of worked out.
Wow. So you went up and like had your friends show up and, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was the closest bar,
Uh-huh.
and it was cheap drinks and free entertainment. And then once I found out I could start drinking for free if I provided the entertainment, it just went from there.
Right, so it's all about the alcohol, right?
It was all about the free drinks. It was me being a broke college student and needing the drinks. Yeah.
It's too bad that we can't have like cannabis bars that we can do that at. You know,
Right.
you know, it's like, you know, well, if you're the entertainment, you get like free joints and like, because you bring more business to it.
Well, we have the Cannabis Cafe here, and they do that.
I know.
That's like if they do
I know
that.
that. Yeah, they do that. They give you like a little gift for performing there.
Right.
I love the Cannabis Cafe. I performed there once too.
Nice.
And I'm hoping to go back and broadcast out of there
Yeah,
as
most
well.
definitely.
Yeah, because we're actually opening a Cannabis Cafe in Pasadena too. So that's kind of under the same guise. I don't know if they're going to be giving away free joints to the
Right.
entertainers. But I'm going to broadcast it of there, and I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to get some joints.
Right.
I mean, the one good thing about doing this particular type of work is like marijuana just finds you. I think it's karma, right?
It's definitely
yeah,
karma.
It's like,
it goes full circle.
It goes full circle. It's like, so you started out. So you started also booking these shows.
Yeah, I actually quit doing stand-up comedy about a year and a half ago locally when I moved back to Portland. It was just, the market was, there was so many comics here, but nobody was really doing anything with it. So I decided to take it a different direction and start booking out venues and putting together shows so they could get stage time. When I got out here, all these comics were working for free. Now I'm at least trying to get them paid and some alcohol. The least.
Yeah, that's always good.
Right?
Some clubs don't even give you like free drinks anymore.
No.
You know, I mean, and then we have to like bring people in to be able to like the bringer shows and like and I'm like, but wait, where's my free drink?
Last time
where's
I
my
was
drink
in New
ticket?
York, I went to an open mic and you paid $1 per minute per stage time. If you wanted 10 minutes, you gave them $10. You were paying the club for your stage time. That was just like, that's ridiculous.
I feel that we get, I mean, to me, I feel like we get treated, we're abused in many ways. They don't respect comedy as the art form that it needs to be respected as, and I feel that a lot of the club owners are really into, you know, they're selling beer and they're looking at their dollar, their bottom line, and we are so excited just to be going up and doing like, oh my God, you mean you really like me, you know, and then we forget that, you know, hey, I'm not making any money for what I'm doing too as well and generating that, so it's been my problem.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, so you went the other route. Now, I wanted to bring up the fact that you were a medical marijuana patient.
Yes.
And how long were you a patient?
About 2 years.
Uh-huh. And so, and then you had you told me that you
got my first DUI.
Okay.
Here in the state of Oregon, and one of the very first things they did was strip me of my medical marijuana card.
I find that, I mean, this is really, you know, that's why I wanted you to come on the show and talk about this too. Plus, we're going to shamelessly plug the comedy night that we're doing on September 1st. Where are we at again?
We're going to be at the Oak Grove Bar and Grill, otherwise known as the OGT.
Yes. So I'm going to be there, and there's going to be a whole bunch of other people. Devin Monahan is going to be there.
Devin Monahan's going to be
Rico
there.
Starr.
Rico Starr. We have that dude, Donnie Johnson, fresh out of Vegas, and Scott Von Wald, and another local comedian, William Woodruff.
So now, how do you feel? I'm getting back to the subject matter of the marijuana again. How do you feel about that? The fact that I find that strange that they took your medical marijuana card, because I mean, they wouldn't just say, hey, you know what, you have a DUI.
Yeah.
You take OxyContin because you have bone cancer. Oh, let me take that from you.
Right. I find it completely and utterly wrong, considering that the reasoning for them taking it was, now I have to do diversion and do this probation while I'm on diversion. Okay, well, while I'm on probation, it's a violation of my probation to commit a federal offense. So they're claiming, even though in the state, and I'm legally opted to have it, the state agrees and even gave me a prescription, says it's okay, because the federal government says it's still a no, I am therefore technically committing a federal offense, so therefore it is against the parameters of my probation. Now, to me, that's just totally absurd, considering that I'm not a felon and I didn't commit a felony crime. I committed a misdemeanor, so basically I'm being watched over by the same state who told me it was okay and took my money in the first place.
Yes.
For the taxation on it.
Okay, so that's a very good point. Again, there's the federal government. The evil federal government. Now, I don't know. I mean, I'm calling it evil. I mean, like, maybe that's, it feels evil. You know, it does. They
do, because they're everywhere but nowhere.
Yeah. So, wow. So.
It was totally amazing to me that they actually did it, and actually took it away from me, and then I didn't understand that, because to me it was just like you said, if it was any other form of medication, they wouldn't be able to take it from you. I'm hyperintensive. I use that literally to calm and keep myself at bay. Ritalin, speed, does not work for me. It just makes me even worse. So this is what I was prescribed, and this is what I've used, and I used it for years before, and finally did it legally, went the legal routes, and then for them to take it from me, it is just ridiculous. It's like, what if like you said, what if it was, I can go to that same doctor and I can get prescribed Valium, I can get Vicodin, I can get Percocet, I can get Oxy, and that's okay, but I can't have my pot.
Right.
And
those are more addictive.
And they will kill your liver and kidney functions. They will internally damage all of your organs with a quickness.
Yeah. So now I want to ask you about the taxes. You mentioned you paid some taxes. Is that with the health card that you have? That is so hyper today. That that is why he is so hyper today. Oh,
Yeah.
This is Rupert Decla wants to say that is why he is so hyper today. This is producer Rupert Decla. You'll never see his face, but he will make comments on the board every once in a while.
Yeah, I am hyper intensive along with a little ADD, so that's just natural for me. But they took away my, my medicine. So and I've been without it going on 7-8 months now. So,
Wow.
I mean, I'm not without it.
So,
I'm just without the card.
Right, you're without the card.
I'm just
Okay.
without the card. Hope my PO doesn't see this.
Right. Oh, we're laughing now.
We're laughing now. See you in jail in 2 weeks.
Great. But so one more thing. Now, did you have to pay for a medical marijuana card here? I mean, is there a fee that you pay?
Literally not only have to pay for the card, you have to pay the doctor to do a first visit. You pay. Then you see the doctor, the same doctor, like you go back like a few days later, to get the prescription, you pay him again. Then you have to take that paperwork to the county courthouse where you pay another fee. And depending on what you want, depends on what you pay. They have it set up a little differently. So if you want to start growing yourself, you get a grower's license, and that's a little bit more. If you say you already have a grower and you have a caretaker, it's a little bit less, but you pay on a yearly basis, and then you just update every year. And here's the thing, every year you have to update, but every year you have to go back and re-get that prescription from that doctor, so you got to pay those 2 payments to that doctor every year along with that fee to the court.
So they weren't able to refund you on
yeah,
like...
you don't get refunded on it. They're like, we already got your money, sorry. Haha.
That's really sad. So, well, we're going to take a break here. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. Also, we want to plug the show again. Where can people see us at?
Come on down to the Oak Grove Bar and Grill in good old Oak Grove, Milwaukee, Portland, Oregon. We're going to have a great show. It's free, so there's no cover charge. You're going to be there.
I'm going to be there.
We got a great lineup. There's no reason not to come.
Great. And so thank you for coming in. And right now we're gonna show a audio clip. We're not gonna show it, you're gonna hear it. And also the flyer, you'll see the flyer of the show, of Devin Monahan, who is going to be performing there
this was actually recorded there at the same venue.
Oh great. All right. So thank you so much. And we're gonna go right to the clip.
Is tested for high fructose corn syrup.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Oh, I think I did. It's not just like the fact, it's their kids too. Child obesity is a problem. It's such a big problem. Look at cyberbullying. How fat and lazy are kids that they can't be bothered to beat the shit out of each other? If you don't know what cyberbullying is, add me on Facebook. Fuck it. Hey, your kid might be a fat ass if he needs an oxygen tank to talk shit. Lay them on thick. They don't like that. I don't know, Obamacare, doesn't matter, like, it's still going to be until 2014 before it takes effect, which is like 2 years after the world ends.
Right.
No, just kidding. The Mayans are going to... No. If God wanted to punish us, he'd keep things exactly how they are. And it's depressing because, like, they spent... Obama and the Democrats spent, like, about, what? 3 years trying to pass Obamacare. It's not going to fix shit. And then, of course, it would take 2 weeks to pass legalizing weed, you know? And then Obamacare could pay for my medicinal marijuana. Hey, I only need medicinal marijuana because I'm an alcoholic.
We're going to be on it. We're back. Gosh, had a little technical difficulty there. We still have here in the studio with us, and online we have a call-in of James Hamilton. He is with Oregon Shout, and which is a website. James, explain hello, James.
Hello there.
Hi. Thank you for being here today. So can you tell the listeners what your website is about and what it specifically covers?
Well, for the most part, it's more of a community group for people of Oregon and some of the surrounding states, but it seems to be people joining from quite a distance, even Australia. And they're trying to get information on their right to travel, their right of passage, which has been eroded away and morphed into other laws. And so great many people join the group because they want that information to help them through court issues, other things like that. But as well, the group, also caters to those who have gardens and things of that nature and more of the other community issues as well. But peace and freedom happens to be one of the hot deals this year. So.
Well, I think it is hot this year. It's definitely hot this year, and it's been hot for a while, although we are...
Right, but it seems to be coming to this, I guess to use the term climax, because 2012, everybody's expecting, this paradigm shift of changes to come upon us or something, and, supposedly a new president, and all this great stuff supposedly coming down the pipe is going to make everything right, but, humanity itself has to change to make everything right. So we've got some changes coming up this year, and people are excited about some hopeful changes, but it's going to be we the people that make those changes.
I agree with you. I noticed on your site too that you have some links and information about what's happening with marijuana and medical marijuana and hemp laws. Can you be a little more specific on that than I am?
Our stand at Oregon Shout and the group that we work with is that, free the green and let the entrepreneurs take over from there. The taxation effort in any way, shape, or form is robbery against everyone's natural rights. So taxation is not the answer. It will only lead to more prohibitions on different issues later on. So what we need to do is free it up. Yes, you want it freed up. Why? Well, even Senator Wyden has been working on trying to get the state to be able to grow this plant because there's so many beneficial, products that are available with it, let alone some health benefits that are widely known. So there's no point anymore to do eradication or any of that kind of stuff, or even tax this stuff. I say let the entrepreneurs have it, let them see what they can do for a few years, But the reality is you need to give it back to the people. It's Genesis 1 and 5. That verse says who it belongs to. It doesn't belong to any corporation. The United States is a corporation, and it's filled with a bunch of government rules and regulations. I think 41,000 of them come down the pike every first of the year. And how are we supposed to deal with all that? There's only a few laws with humanity, and that's treat your neighbor as you would like to be treated yourself. And so most of us know how to police ourselves, and we really don't need any additional taxation or any more privileges given to us. We have rights under one God, and that's it. If your puppies didn't get trained right, you don't train your children right, and they're causing hell in society, well, guess who the problem really is? But it's not society as a whole. Society as a whole. Sure, they'd like a chance to prove themselves to be honest, reputable people that can be responsible for one another. And America, unfortunately, as you can see, and many of the states have followed the federal regulations, have not trusted their people. And realistically, if you want your people to be able to bring forth good ideas into the community, you have to give them the freedom to do stuff, not only in the arenas of hemp, but in other private enterprise businesses as well. Hopefully you agree.
I'm right with you, James. I mean, your philosophies are what is in my heart, and I do agree that that let it be a free enterprise. Of course, I also believe that right now and I'm going to sound like a conspiracy theorist right now, but I don't really care anymore because it's 2012. But there are definitely the corporations are out of hand, and there have been a history of families that have their hands almost in everything. There was a scientific study that was done recently where a scientist could go on a computer and do algorithms of all the different corporations in the world. It actually comes down to 147 corporations actually own 80% of the wealth in the world. world. And, these families that own these things, and the banks and the Federal Reserve, they happen to be the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and the J.P. Morgans and the DuPonts, and they're the same people that made marijuana illegal in the first place and basically did the whole propaganda campaign against it. It's a gateway drug. Your white women are smoking weed with black jazz musicians, and the Mexicans whom we don't want to have in the country, we're going to call it marijuana so then we can shame them and get them out too. Basically was the motivation to make marijuana illegal in the first place. And a lot of people say, well, you can't have a society where you can all be respectful of one another and have free enterprise and love, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Happiness meaning our property, which means like marijuana, which I've had a whole debate. I've written a blog about is marijuana prohibition even constitutional? And one of the things is that we have unalienable rights, meaning that because we are made in the image of our Creator, and you can define Creator however you want. You can say it's God, you can say it's an alien, you can say whatever that is, but because we are human, we have certain basic rights, and the fact that that's been written in a document that's based on the United States, I feel is grossly compromised. And happiness is equals to property, and the only reason why you shouldn't have property is if that property did damage to other people or to yourself, and the cannabis plant does not do either one of those things. And so it's really a violation of our constitutional rights. That's how I feel about it. But then some people say, well, what have you been smoking?
If you do enough study, you'll wind up finding out that it goes all the way back to the Scythians, who were harvesting hemp anyway for rope products for Egypt or Misraim. And most people don't understand that story. But, where were they getting the ropes and everything, right?
Right.
Well, my study, and I like to play around with the historicals, biblical terms, and things of that nature. So I look at all these different things, and I come to a conclusion. There's no ifs, ands, or buts to me that the original, and I'll use the term, English term, anointing oil that was put on Aaron, the high priest in the desert, at 37.5 pounds of oil, that what they utilized there was the seed of life. And what else did they have with them but hemp and a few other assorted seeds? But, you take a look at that and you go, guess what? The seed of life. They cracked it open and they anointed this priest forever and ever and ever. So the reality is if it's not offensive to the high priest and it's not offensive to the Creator who created it, then why is it offensive to our government and all their silliness? They're sitting in a warring plant, but we can go murder Gaddafi.
Yeah.
Right. We're sitting there worrying about a plant, but we can't feed the hungry in our own nation.
Right.
We're sitting there worrying about a plant, but we're going to blow up everybody else and salt the whole planet like Rome did with, in our case, depleted uranium and call it good. I think there's a word on that. It says, those who call evil good and good evil, woe unto them. There's a time coming that the Gitmo is presented for these people who have corralled us and lied to us and cheated us for just generations of time. And in all honesty, if you go back to it, most of it comes out of the Vatican and the Roman Catholic Church controlling all the popes control everything.
Right. That's a whole other topic too. I had a dream.
It's a whole other topic, but
James,
the dirt goes that far back, people.
I had a dream the other night about the Pope, and one of the bishops came up to me. I was in church, and he goes, "You need to get out of here."
I know.
And I think it's because he was evil.
One of the greatest books. I think every pastor ought to be mandated to read this book before he preaches another message. And it's called Kosher Jesus by a Rabbi Boteach. And it sounds like Boteach. And it just came out. It's only about $8, $9. And it absolutely gives some serious clarity what was going on historically at that particular time. It absolutely redeems Yeshua or Jesus or whatever name you want to use, redeems him. And then it breaks down all the foolishness of covering up the tyranny of Rome. Now, in my particular opinion, we are still under the tyranny of Rome in a lot of respects.
Yeah.
So, some people might think that's kind of funny and some others may not, but in all reality, Rome used to control with the sword, and now they control with religion. 4 billion people bow down to that foolishness.
Speaking
and
of
they never checked the real historical value of what the man was teaching. What he was teaching was community.
Speaking of the Vatican,
and you know what? If you really look at it, he was a political advocate for we the people. So, some people ought to take a look at that again and stop thinking it's a religious movement. It was a Baal Teshuvah movement, and it was definitely a political movement. But, the guy's life, all those guys' lives back then were all threatened. So, just like today, nothing has changed in history. It's just the dark hour today as it was 2,000 years ago. And we're at a great time right now where people can look at 2012 and know we're coming to the crest of the wave of our egoism and everything else. And we now know that we either take care of this paradigm shift and turn it into something good, maybe perhaps an altruistic society where it's good for one to another, where we care about one another, where we're responsible for one another. And then that'll give us the freedom to these other things that we're looking for too. Rite of passage, right to be responsible for your own health and what you're putting into your own body. As Ron Paul says, you should be responsible for that. And, we need to turn it around. But it's we the people. Last year they marched in the streets, and I agreed with them just because of the message, but not because of the manipulation, but because of the message. It was a wake-up call.
You know what, James?
I'm glad that stopped this year, because in all honesty, it would have just caused us more problem.
James.
Now what we need to do is do what a member of an ex-police officer says on OregonShout.com. He says, boycott, boycott, boycott the hell out of them.
James, we're going to have to go. Our time is up, but I thank you so much for calling in. I love what you said. And let our listeners, where can they find your website and get involved?
OregonShout.com.
Thank you, James, and bless you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hope to meet you sometime.
You betcha. Enjoy.
Thanks. Enjoy.
With Oregon Shout. And by the way, the one thing I wanted to point out about the Vatican, they are under investigation, actually. They had an account with Chase Manhattan that was recently dropped, also owned by J.P. Morgan, for possible money laundering. I know that this news has not come out in the United States very often, but if you do want to check out and find out where that information is, you can look at it on the internet, specifically in divinecosmos.com by David Wilcock. He's been following the whole evolution of the financial tyranny here in the world. So, all right, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with Shiloh Jinglefoot with G-licious Dishes. Stay tuned.
Like what it's really all about, And I had a friend of mine, he says, you know what? If you legalize marijuana, you might as well just legalize crystal meth. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay, come on. You cannot compare pot smokers to twerkers. I mean, maybe they get their house cleaned up and shit, but whatever. Okay, good for you, all right? You know what, and I don't know, and I know, like, especially out here, like, I see the horrible tweaker signs. I mean, like, my God. And I know that happens. Because I lived with a tweaker before, and it's a nightmare. You turn on your remote control, and your fucking microwave goes off. You got things wired from here to here, like there's like a freaking paint stroke that's like half done. Like, fuck it, I lost my attention span. Let's paint something else. Hey man, why don't you try it? You want to know why it's so great? Because Hitler made it, and that's how the Berlin Wall went up. I'm like, wow, what a selling point. You know what I mean? Like the word, like, come on now. Like, how is this even like, you're sitting there. I mean, I've done it before. It's not all, and it's like freaking Drano up here. And God. But you know what? I think that the tweaker and the pot smoker can work together. Because the pot smoker will think up stuff and the tweaker will execute it. This is really how we create a perfect society. No kidding.
we have Shiloh Jinglefoot online with her, with G-licious Dishes. She is the author of G-licious, A Higher Level of Food. Shiloh, how are you today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. How are you, Terry?
I'm doing good. This is like our third show doing live streaming video, so I'm really excited about that. And I want to go. You have a recipe, a new recipe for us. Let's go ahead, and we have about 5 minutes left for the show. Let's get started. What do we have cooking in the kitchen today?
Well, we've got something super easy. It actually takes no heat whatsoever except for your food processor. It's plentiful. Basil is plentiful these days since the sun is out, and if you have any basil plants in your house, I'm sure it's taking off like crazy in a big bush by now. So I have tons of basil, and I figured out this amazing recipe called potsto. And potsto is essentially taking your basil and putting it into the food processor, adding a bunch or a half a cup of sunflower seeds and 3 to 4 cloves of garlic, about 1/8 of a cup of lemon juice, a half a cup of midnight oil, which is the magic ingredient, about a tablespoon of water, salt, pepper, and a food processor. And you put all of those things into your food processor. Of course, you peel the garlic, and you put them all into the food processor, and you let it go for about 5 to 7 minutes so it gets all nice and creamy. And you add a little bit the extra salt at the end, and it is and goes on everything from chips to eggs to bread to pasta to pizza to everything, and it is the bomb. And raw, essentially. Good for you.
That
That
sounds
so good. I wish you could come. I'm actually my mouth is watering right now. It's like embarrassing. I wish there was a way to teleport myself over to your place, and I bring like a bottle of wine or something, and that just sounds
love that.
So lovely. Where can our listeners download your? Because you have. I noticed that you have your book is now downloadable online.
It is downloadable. It's true.
And they can get the hardbound, but like where can somebody go and buy your book and get all these fabulous recipes?
They can go to G-licious.com, and just how it spells, Google will recognize it almost any way you type it in. G-licious.com, and you can buy it on our website. And if you buy it on our website during this next promotion, you can get an autographed copy. So if you buy it listening to the Hollywood Hemptress show or and you mention something about the Hollywood Hemptress show, you get an autographed copy. So
wonderful.
You can buy us there. You can download the book there as well. There's a link to download it for $7.99. The book is $14.20. And yeah, that's how you can find us, and that's how you can, stay tuned with the beautiful G-licious network.
And we're going to get you a commercial up here right soon, so that when people listen to you, they can click right onto your website and purchase the book. And also you can find out her through Hollywood Hemptress Hour Twitter feeds, as well as our Facebook. And like us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook too. And where can they like you at? Because I know they already like.
They can like me as well on Facebook and Twitter. I'm at Ganja Cooking is how you'll find me on the Facebook Twitter panel. Ganja Cooking, and I will accept you as my friend and keep the network going strong.
Well, thank you so much, Shiloh. You're a beautiful human being, and we'll check in with you next week. Have a great week.
All right. Have a great week to you, and all you listeners, keep listening, and don't forget to tell your friends. It's the best radio show ever.
Well, you know what? We're a TV show now. We're a web series.
Ooh, a web series. Moving on up.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, take care. Have a good night tonight.
All right. Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
All right. That is our show this evening, whenever you're watching it. Thank you so much for tuning in. And let's give another mention to Dege Coutee at CannabisSavesLives.org, Shiloh Jinglefoot, Kevin Korn with Hardcorn Entertainment, and James Hamilton at Oregon Shout. Be well, and we'll see you next week.